I get the feeling we're gonna meet a plot-important character. I don't quite know why, I just get the feeling that's going to happen. Well, I mean, in fairness, she did just fly up to us, tell us that, and then immediately leave, but, I mean, she didn't look suspicious, nor did she immediately try to kill us, so I trust her. I mean, she was attractive, so by Fire Emblem standards, either she's a main character, or she's a very late-game villain. Alright, so let's check out the map. Here we have a building and a very open field. Doesn't seem like there are too many enemy units, but of course we've got a fair few flying units over on this end that'll be causing us trouble. But there's also Princess Minerva, with Haunteclair as usual, but we also have that guy with a Master Shield, so make sure to kill him. We also have Maria in here. Now, I forget if we've heard her name before, but how much you want to bet she's that hostage we've been hearing about? You know, the one that's kind of been tying Minerva's hands so that she has to work for these guys. Yes, if you fall out of line with us, we'll take away little Maria's chair, and then she'll have to stand! Actually, technically speaking, I hear that's better for the human body overall, but do you think that would be very comfortable for the child? Oh, I think not. Well, we're more southeast, but, you know, same difference, I guess. Bring them to me. I shall stab them all with my mustache. Possibly my eyebrows if push comes to shove. So, battle strategy time. First off, you might be worried about Minerva up there. Well, don't be. Because, you see, Minerva, she's actually not going to attack us. Unless, of course, we happen to do something that, quite frankly, you would have to be quite terrible in order to do, but we'll get to that later. So, first things first, I want to take care of this thief so he doesn't steal any of those treasures. Board wasn't really the best pick to kill the knight to kill the thief himself, but the knight over there is definitely troubling me just a tiny little bit. I could probably send Kane over there, to be honest. He would have really taken the job quite well. On the other hand, though, I kinda want Kane down here for these Cavaliers. Now, there is a lot of space in this chapter, but I kinda want to push these Cavaliers back immediately, and they are going to be troublesome. But killing those guys early does get you some breathing room. You don't want to retreat backwards too much, because that might get you in a bit of trouble. But I also want to make sure the Cavaliers are taken care of before those flying units catch up. Now, they're a pretty good distance away, so chances are we should have these guys done before then, but Now, I have to admit I was kinda lucky in this chapter because I should have backed off. Of course, the chance of them attacking Board instead was fairly high. If I had left that area unguarded, they would have probably gone after the single person who was fairly undefended. So instead, I opted to go for the less than ideal formation of just charging them when I'm really not close enough to do so. But, again, I did get fairly lucky, and, well, that really brought me through, thankfully. Took a few hits, but, there's my second critical. Ooh, and, now, will I be able to kill him? Oh, yes, I will, because I get a third critical hit. What about you? Kane, you want to get a critical hit? No, unfortunately, I missed completely, but to be fair, the fact that I was able to kill 3 out of the 4 Cavaliers really helped that. I could have been in a lot of trouble if any of them had survived, because, again, I took a fair few hits just to get rid of those first few guys. And honestly, even after that, Navari's still looking pretty good, so we'll take care of him fairly easily, and the flyers shouldn't be a problem either. And again, Minerva's going to fly over here, but she won't harm you. In fact, she pretty much just stays where she is, up until the point where you rescue Maria. Take care of that guy. Right, so now we're in good standing to take care of the flyers. Of course, the Pegasus Knights should be cake, because, well, they're always fairly easy. The Dragon Knights, they can be a little problematic, but honestly, if they're not Minerva, you don't have to worry about them too much. Because remember, a few chapters ago, Minerva was pretty dangerous. And I guess 6 damage is decent, but really the only problem I'm having here is the fact that I sent my fighter off to go do stuff over here. And unfortunately, this is going to be the other problematic part of this chapter, because now I gotta deal with those snipers, and I'm not in a position to deal with the snipers, unfortunately. Well, there's only one sniper, and he is very dangerous. That being said, though, the other archers really are only dangerous in tandem with the sniper. If you get rid of him and you're actually at decent health, then you might survive. Of course, if he wrecks you, there's a very good chance that the other archers can finish you off, and that's why I probably should have trusted someone else other than Board to do that, just because I think Kane has a little bit of a better chance to actually take those guys on. Board is pretty good, and of course he's great against knights, but he's just, you know, not the best at dodging. He does have a lot of HP at least, that is his advantage. Also, thank goodness, Harden starts with a pretty good rank in lances as well as swords. Well, swords isn't amazing, but at the very least I was strong enough to use that javelin pretty effectively. Now, I'm going to position my units over here because we did finish on that side, sure, but the boss did mention that there should be reinforcements coming, so we want to prepare for those guys. Spoilers, they're going to be coming from the northeast. And honestly, once you get rid of all the snipers and archers and the like, this chapter is pretty much cake. It's just the starting of the chapter that's problematic. Though to be fair, that's usually how it goes in most Fire Emblem games. Not all the time. You know, sometimes the middle or the end of the chapter can be pretty tough, but speaking from experience, it is usually the very end. And oh, look at those guys come in. So, we're going to have a few rounds of reinforcements. Of course, it's going to be a few turns in between each one. They're not all going to come at once, thank goodness. But of course, they also stagger themselves because there are knights. And knights are very slow, whereas cavaliers are fast, so you're probably going to fight them in waves. You're going to fight the cavaliers, then you're going to fight the knights, and by that point, if the extra reinforcements haven't already come in, well, you're going to fight them at that point. Of course, chances are they might come in with a knight, so we do want to be careful of that, but because we've taken care of the archers and the like, the rest of the team can just go in and face these guys, so yeah, we don't have to separate everybody anymore, which really was the main issue. I guess you could take this slowly and go for the guys out here first, then go inside, but it's more efficient to do this, truth be told, and definitely more dangerous, of course, but I would prefer efficiency if I can pull it off. But yeah, if you are having trouble with the chapter, then just take it slow, because otherwise this just might not turn out very well, and unfortunately this is also staggering, not quite like I thought, because of course there are also nomads, and those guys are always quite the nuisance. They got good movement, and they have bows, meaning I can't really put Seda forward initially. Not that I would, I don't usually just put her up front. That's usually Ogma or Kane or whoever can take a few hits. And Seda can take a hit or two, but I just prefer her to swoop in and take care of everything else, truth be told. That group doesn't seem so bad. Right, so there are a lot of people to take care of, and the fact that there are 2 nomads, not my favorite thing exactly, but it looks manageable. more manageable than the start of the chapter, in which I basically just blunder-criticaled my way through it. Though, to be fair, it worked, so I can't complain. Of course, in this round we'll also be able to free Maria, but we'll probably do that once we get at least a little more breathing room over here. I'd just like to note that once you rescue Maria, Minerva will automatically just fly over towards Marth, and she won't be any sort of danger to him, she won't attack him, she'll just talk to him. Of course, Maria is an enemy unit, and because of that, you can actually kill her if you're a terrible person or you're just so inept that you don't notice it. I don't know how you'd manage that, but it is possible, I guess. But yeah, if you are a terrible person and kill the child, then quite frankly, Minerva will be very, very angry with you, and for very good reason. She will then try to attack you, and unless you escape the chapter, which quite frankly, if you anger Minerva, probably isn't going to happen without her dying, because she is on a Wyvern, she's going to follow you to the ends of the earth. But yeah, she will try to kill you at that point. Again, completely deserved, because you killed a child. You complete jackass. Now, if you're planning on doing the Gaiden chapters, you don't have to kill Maria or Minerva. You can just completely ignore Maria, and then Minerva just won't do anything at all. And that is preferable to murdering the child and then killing Minerva, who, quite frankly, is pretty great. It is kind of sad, but to be fair, if you kill all the enemies, you could kind of see how Minerva would just come in and rescue her sister, but just wouldn't join the army. I'd say Maria is a pretty solid healer overall. Now, stats aren't the hugest thing to healers in this game, other than the magic stats. She does start out at a pretty low level for this point in the game. She doesn't quite have the HP growths of Rise, and she doesn't quite have the magic growths of Lena. Nonetheless, they're not too far below either of those characters, and if stats really matter to you on a healer, she does have the highest luck growth rate out of the three of them. She just doesn't start with any points in luck, but that should change pretty quickly. So yeah, I am actually going to be using Maria for, well, the rest of the game, because, you know, she's a fairly good healer. Lena definitely has a pretty good starting pace on her, but yeah, I'll manage. I mean, she is a healer, so it's not like she has to be going up in levels that much. It just, you know, helps a tiny little bit if she ends up becoming a sage. I'm not quite sure about her little catchphrase, but whatever, I'll put up with it. And wow, good job aiming for the guy who can hit you back. And again, don't freak out too much that Minerva is heading towards you. To be fair, I think every time I play the game, I do kind of do that. Now, I'm going to have Marth and Julian go to the north eventually, because I definitely want to take care of that. Was that a hero or a mercenary? I've already forgotten, but yeah. I do want to take care of that guy because he's got a Master Seal, so definitely want one of those. I want all of them that I can get, because I want to promote as many units as possible. And I think by the end of the game, I only have like an excess of 1 or 2 for my entire team. And honestly, cleanup right here is going to be pretty easy. And this guy can't even attack me. Of course, we do have the guys up there, and unfortunately, I don't quite think Board can reach that, right? Not that it matters too much, again. I don't foresee the knights being too much of an issue. Yeah, see? 6 damage. Whatever. I mean, in fairness, Kane is kind of an unstoppable killing machine, but to be fair, 5 damage, you know, that guy has even less of a chance to defeat Ogma. Well, I'm glad the Cavaliers didn't come in with the Knights, but still don't like how close they're getting. And because I kind of want Minerva to join the fray as soon as possible, I'm going to send Marth forward as fast as possible. I mean, I could have her wait or something like that, like just wait around to the north and then have her come to Marth, but nah, I don't particularly want to do that. And that takes care of that. should also probably open up a path for Minerva as well, because, you know, she's not going to attack us, but she is an enemy unit, meaning we will accidentally block her if we stand in her way. To be fair, we're kind of also blocking the most efficient path as well, but yeah, whatever. I had to kill some guys. She should understand. Ah well, ooh. Maria also has a conversation with Minerva as well, but unfortunately, her movement as a cleric isn't exactly the best, so kinda have to wait a little bit for that one. Though again, to be fair, Minerva is on a Wyvern, so it's not really a problem for her to walk. And I would prefer to not engage them right now. I mean, I could, but that'd be inviting a lot of attack, so everybody go for Ogma. I know you want to take the obvious bait and try to kill the guy who is nigh unkillable at this point. Well, alright, that's not completely true. Ogma is human like you or I, but he is very, very tough. Well, I wonder if they'll end up doing that anyway. Minerva reminds me a bit of Harden, in that neither of them are the best characters of their class, but their character design, their prominence in the story, and just their general personality make them both really, really good. Overall, Minerva's a character I very much like to use. One problem, though, is Draco Knights in this game are actually promoted Pegasus Knights, so unfortunately Minerva is a pre-promoted unit. And unfortunately, while she's very good at this point in the game, she does fall behind just a tiny little bit, especially in terms of strength. Her strength growths aren't the best. I mean, they don't look too worse than all of her other stats, but honestly, through all my playthroughs, she consistently falls behind in that regard. That being said, though, she doesn't really fall behind in ways that'll make her completely useless, and I find her to be a pretty good unit. It's just Seda will probably end up faster and overall maybe a tiny little bit stronger than Minerva. That being said, though, Seda has to get used to having no resistance. Minerva starts with it, because Draco Knights suck in that regard. Seriously, the lack of resistance sucks. And of course, I will be using Minerva for pretty much the rest of the game. Kinda gonna trade her back and forth with Seda. There are advantages and disadvantages of using multiple flying units. Of course, the most obvious disadvantage is just being that's one less unit that you can really take up against a bow-using unit, an archer. That's what they're called. I mean, to be fair, she'll only be healing wounds until I make some sort of dumb mistake and leave her in the line of fire, but she'll survive, because if she doesn't, I'll restart. Yeah, kid, we're gonna have to talk to you about that catchphrase. It's already very annoying. I mean, I'm not gonna ditch you or anything, but please don't have a catchphrase. Ever. Just in general. Don't say it. Thank you very much. Alright, so, don't exactly want to use Clear at the moment, but don't exactly have a choice, because I do want Minerva to swoop in and help just a tiny little bit, because this doesn't exactly look like the best of situations. But it'll do. But yeah, I do want to give her a normal axe eventually, because Claire, while a very, very strong axe, does only have 20 uses, which isn't that much in the long run, especially if you abuse it. Alright, so pretty much at this point we're taking care of the archer units, hopefully getting Lena out of the line of fire, and I think we can do this no problem. Those guys in the back might be a little bit troublesome, but I'm not worried too much. Again, as long as I get Lena out of the way, I should definitely be fine. If I can't get Lena out of the way, then hopefully I can, well, only get hit by one of those guys. Otherwise, that's not gonna be too good, because I don't think Lena could take 2 hits. Don't think she could dodge 2 hits either. I do kind of worry about dodging 1. I mean, it happens. I just don't exactly put my faith in it all the time. And, unfortunately, those are Cavaliers, so my speed's probably not enough to match them. Especially Hardened, unfortunately. Well, actually. What about you, Ogma? Can you get that? You might actually be able to clean these guys up. Next he'll get Ogmud, and then the guy in the back will go down to Kane. Yeah, we've got this in the bag. 1 down, and after this I'm pretty sure there are no more reinforcements, and if I'm wrong, well, I really doubt I'll have much of an issue with those guys, so we're pretty much home free, more or less. And at 1. Gee, I wonder if we're going to miss at 100%, where it is impossible to miss. Oh, what a surprise, we got both hits. I was really worried there for a second. Oh crap, there was one guy in the corner. Frickin' figures. Oh well, I'm pretty sure Lena can take the hits, and, you know, as long as she can, that's a little bit of free experience for Maria? Okay. Sure. I mean, if that's the move you want to make, pal, then that's fine. Oh, right, there are those 2 knights as well. I am very oblivious today, aren't I? Oh, yeah, you know, there are some units over there, but whatever, I'm not going to pay attention to them. Alright, well, since I've more or less got things handled over here, I might as well send Maria, or, well, to be fair, Maria's going that way as well, but Minerva up north. Yeah, just so she can take care of those guys, because, to be honest, I'm not exactly confident that Marth and Julian can take on a hero by themselves. I mean, they probably could, but I'd probably take a bit more damage than I'd want to. Wonder if Bord's gonna survive this. I mean, he's standing inside of a tree, and he's got an axe, and oh, and he's got a hammer as well. I didn't even mean to keep that equipped. That's just a bonus. And, well, you tried, dude. I'll give you that. But in the end, yeah, it didn't work. So, again, we are basically home free at this point. Just gotta be cautious around the hero, and, well, we've got a whole lot of houses to visit, actually, as well as a couple of shops, I believe. But yeah, it's just gonna be walking on over to the castle. I suppose I could have avoided having a really long walk over, but it doesn't bother me too much, you know. I could have kinda let... I don't know if I'd be able to lead them. Because again, I brought this up earlier, but part of the problem with trying to lead them is they might turn into the building and then go after my smaller group, and then while I was trying to lure them away, well, now I'm too far to really get to them in time, and my other group's in trouble. So I'd rather just take on the force as they get to me, you know, in the little southeast portion. Because that's easy enough, and yeah, that takes care of the job, and it just means I have to, you know, take a long but peaceful walk, and sure, it takes a while, and I know I was talking about efficiency earlier, and now I'm not being efficient, but hey, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. Besides, you know, if I was going this way while the enemies were following me, I wouldn't have as much time to check out those houses in peace. Yeah, wouldn't that be a shame, you know, those 2 houses and the multiple shops, I wouldn't be able to waltz on over there at my leisure, and then where would I have been? I don't even know where I would have been. I don't even know. I guess I'll just mosey on over to the castle over... Oh, actually, I should be sending Julian back towards those chests, because I still haven't opened those. Again, I talked about efficiency at the start, and then I was very, very inefficient, but whatever. It happens sometimes. I mean, better to make good decisions in battle, which I also don't do, than, make good decisions about your routes. Villager, we've already figured this out, We rescued Maria rather than murdering her, and, now Minerva's fighting on our side. Yep, if only there was some other mage, possibly related to Milo, who could wield aura. Right now, I don't know if Merrick's gonna be powerful enough to go toe-to-toe with Garneth, because he sounds like a pretty powerful mage, so we could very well be in trouble. I don't know, guys. Certainly, though, no one will come to the rescue, say, next chapter, and solve that problem for us. It's just not going to happen. I mean, you can't just expect miracles to come out of the blue. It's unfortunately very unrealistic. I mean, it is sad to admit, but you gotta admit it at some point. And ooh, hammer! I mean, I should probably buy a silver axe as well, but nah. Honestly, I don't use those that often, whereas I use the hammers almost all the time. So, yeah, oh yeah, and of course I've only got 2 uses left on this one, so yeah, I gotta make sure to buy another hammer, because I don't want to be left without one. Though to be fair, eventually Board will be powerful enough to kinda just take everyone down with a normal axe, even if they are knights, but I would still prefer to have the hammer, especially for bosses, because that works for enemies, but bosses, of course, do have more defense. And of course, steel weapons I do always want. Because, I generally use iron weapons, but sometimes you just need that extra edge, especially early to mid-game. You might not have enough strength to just take down an enemy when you want. And that seems to be more or less all I can do, other than move you guys. Oh, you know what one nice thing about the next game is? Houses are actually kind of marked when you visit them. Like, notice the doorway on the houses in the overworld. Now, they stay open in this game, but in Fire Emblem 12, they'll actually close. It's a very small detail and it might be pretty hard to notice, but you can actually tell when you visited a house. Which, it's not the most important thing for chapters like this, just because there are only 2 houses, it's easy to tell where you've been, but when there are a whole lot of them, yeah, it really helps to keep track of that sort of thing. I mean, still, houses never actually give you anything vital or important, that's always the villages, but, nonetheless, it's still nice, because I want to know what dialogue I've seen. Alright. I'm probably gonna kill this guy fairly easily, aren't I? My mustache is stalwart, and I guess I'm also general class, which is important. But mostly my mustache is very dangerous. That's what you should take away from this. Well, bye, nerd. Yeah, you thought you'd be able to just waltz on up and attack Castor. Well, you were wrong. And man, I love that defense on Minerva starting out. She is very nearly impenetrable early on in the game. Again, later her strength and defense aren't the best, especially her strength, unfortunately, but, nonetheless, she is a very solid unit at the moment. She will just tank pretty much everything but a bow, and maybe any monokettes we might run across. Which, might happen. Might find some monokettes. Possibly. I'm not hinting at anything specific, I'm just bringing up the idea that we might. You need to do that from time to time, just to make sure you remember what you're up against and what you might be up against. Otherwise, you could just be blindsided by something. And... oh wow, that was overkill. And so, that guy dies. Who was he? I don't know. His name was Zarnov, but I don't really know much other about him other than that. Well, I guess he was also a bit of a jerk, but, you know, that can be said about a lot of Fire Emblem bosses. It's not specific to him. And I guess while Julian's getting treasure, maybe I can go see if Maria can get here in time to do some... Well, actually no, because it's only going to take me one more turn to get this, and I don't think Maria's going to be here in time. Could move Marth, but... don't really want to move him away from the goal. Just seems counterproductive, you know, so... Sorry, Maria. Eventually you'll start getting experience. Just not in this chapter. Well, yeah, I just heard about him from some villager. Oh, what a coincidence. Why would you happen to bring that up now? Yeah, well, I really don't know why you'd bring that up now, considering the fact that she apparently disappeared. But I guess if we find her, then she'll be a huge help.